everyone, it's Mithrilda and welcome back to my journey of learning to draw. So today I'm going to be talking about some experiences I've had while doing art lately and how that's made me introspect a bit more and question my motives and experiences in doing, making, practicing art. So this is really going to be more of a stream of thought, exploring different concepts. Recently, I had a lot of fun doing art. I think the first instance of this was after on a whim, I started this character drawing Skillshare course because I thought it looked cute, and I recently came to the conclusion that I needed to make more fun art that looks like the kind of stuff I want to be making in the future. And I sort of tried to throw away this notion that I needed to learn how to do art right before I do it. So I took like the most beginner course ever about drawing people, little bodies, clothing, faces, and I thought it was just so cute. Like, it's quite limited in the fact that I learned how to draw in this one style and that's all I can do right now. But in that moment when I was creating these characters, I was being playful, I was being fun, and I liked the outcome at the end. It was relaxing, it was great. So the other incident is when I was working on the cherub and the grape painting. So this was Evolve Block 4 homework number 2. So coming out of doing homework number 1, which was a grayscale direct painting, I struggled so much in that. Plus, I didn't have an eyedropper for my oil, my lighting was bad, and everything just sucked. So I was really nervous moving from the grayscale into the color, but somehow I found that working in color made it so much easier than doing grayscale. And for some reason, on this particular day when I was working on this painting, I felt amazing. Like, I wasn't too hot like I usually am working under the big lights and stuff. The temperature was nice. Like, I wasn't struggling. I was just following the instructions, working, and the painting was just unfolding before my eyes and it looked amazing. And I wasn't even listening to a video or any music like I usually do. I was just so engrossed in the artwork itself, and hours would just pass by in the blink of an eye, and I was like, yes, this is the life. This is so much fun. And the reason why these moments stuck out to me so much is because it's so different from how I felt doing art in the rest of the 3.5 years I've been practicing and learning. And it kind of freaked me out. And I'm just like, what am I doing here if this is how I feel? That actually having fun and being in the zone and feeling great about it is a surprise compared to my normal experience. So this contrast between my recent experiences and what I've been going through in the past with regard to art and art learning, it really inspired me to take a closer look at my core beliefs, whether they're helping me or harming me, why I believe the things that I do, and just really explore my feelings. And so part of that has been taking Art and Business 1 at Brainstorm with James Pack. This has been a class about concept art as a career, and he talks about working in the video game industry, the film industry, working freelance. He goes into detail about contracts and taxes and how to actually build the skills to build that portfolio. And recently I also came across some career advice. Like, when it comes to finding something that you want to do for a living, that you should examine the actual tasks that you want to do. Whether that's teaching, whether that's leading, or problem solving. Focus on figuring out how you can do that rather than the actual industry that you want to work in. So keeping all this in mind, let's get into why I have a belief that I don't enjoy art, which is a conclusion that I immediately jumped to after enjoying art a couple times. So 1, I don't love to practice it. Like, whenever I've been doing these courses or these Evolve homeworks, I don't love the process of it usually, except for this one time, which is why it stands out so much. And so this was my first piece of evidence, quote unquote, that I don't enjoy art. And now that I say it out loud, it feels kind of silly to even consider it as evidence, because who enjoys studying and homework and that kind of stuff? I feel like most people, even when they are pursuing something that they are passionate about and want to do, are not jumping for joy at the concept of being able to take classes and do their homework. So, nixing that piece of evidence. 2, I don't have fun whenever I'm doing other types of art. And I think this is caused by a couple different reasons. First, I rarely do anything personal or for myself or for fun, quote unquote, because I don't like being bad at things. And it's so stressful. And so I just haven't really let myself explore that side of art, which theoretically should be the fun part, should be the part that I do enjoy. So far we've covered the fact that I only study and I only learn, and that's the only part I do, which isn't so fun. And then the other part, which should be fun, I don't do at all. So I guess it's not that surprising that I feel like I don't enjoy art. As for why I don't do things for fun, I will absolutely be covering this in a later video. There's just so much to unpack there that I can't do it in this video. And 3, the third point that my mind went to after points 1 and 2, which, you know, these seem fair. I haven't really tested whether or not I like fun art yet. 3 is the fact that I don't turn to art in times of stress or for recreation, right? In my mind, I seem to have this belief that if I really enjoyed art and it's something that wants to be a big part of my life, that I would do it more, right? Like when I'm stressed, I see other people turn to art for stress relief. Why don't I? Whenever people want to do something fun, I see other people turn to art. Why don't I do that? But on the other hand, why would I do that? Because I haven't been using art for fun, it makes sense that it's not the first thing I think of as a fun activity. So in our Q&A session last week, James Pack said, practice makes permanent, not perfect. And it wasn't in this context, but I think it's interesting, right? Like our pathways for stress relief and for fun, they're kind of set. And if I want to introduce a new activity to that, I have to do it consciously. Because right now, whenever I'm stressed out or I want to do something for fun, I turn to social media. I scroll through my Instagram feed. I go on TikTok. I look at Facebook. And are those things that I want to do with my life? No. Are they things that fulfill me and make me feel proud of accomplishing them? No. And do I usually feel good after spending a few hours on them? Not at all. So I think reframing it in this way and looking at social media in comparison to art, it makes me realize that it's not some sort of cosmic force that's telling me like where my heart should go in times of stress and happiness. It's just habit, and that's something that I can change if I want to, and I definitely do. I at least don't want social media to be my first stress reliever because it doesn't make me feel good after scrolling on social media for hours, and I don't like it. And so why do I have this belief that if I were a real artist, quote unquote, that I would be doing art all the time? Well, I think that comes from the fact that most of the artists that I see online or in my life, they do art all the time. And why do they do art all the time? It's because they have that habit built up. Most of them have been doing art ever since they were young, before they had all these critical judgments on whether art should be good or bad, on what art should be for. Like, it's not worth doing if it doesn't make money, and all these other beliefs stopping them. And so they already have that habit built up, and they carry that with them into the future, which helps them gain these skills. So why did I start doing art? Because when I started, I think I was 19 or 20, and I made a conscious decision to pursue art, even though it's something I never really tried before, and it's something that I definitely was not good at. So first, I wanted to prove to myself that I could learn something that I wasn't good at. So right around this time, I read the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, which is about fixed versus growth mindsets. And it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe that you can do it, then you will. And if you don't believe that you can do it, you'll never try and you never will. So I was like, well, let's see if this thesis is true. Let's see if even I, analytical, math and science person, can learn to do something like art. And if I can do that, then I can do anything, theoretically. I've also always had this childhood fantasy of becoming a master at something and like being really good at it. But these fantasies never included working hard or practicing for that skill. It was more like unlocking some hidden talent that I've always had inside of me, and it was all about just trying enough things until I found that thing that I was just naturally talented at, or having some magical person tell me that it was my fate to be protagonist and me all of a sudden being good at that thing, or stuff like that. And I wanted to be a master. I wanted to be somebody that people could ask questions to about something. And it was at about this point that I realized that things like that don't really happen in the real world, or if they do, it probably was not going to happen to me. So if I wanted to become a master at something, I would have to make it happen myself. Like, training arcs don't train themselves, and I needed to get started if I wanted to make it. Also, I really wanted to make a YouTube channel, and I felt like there was really nothing interesting about me to talk about. So I was like, hey, why not building a skill? That sounds like fun. I can also prove to other people alongside me that you can learn something, and that would be great. So for all of these, I could have picked any skill really to develop. So why did I pick art in particular? Well, I guess it would be impressive. I feel like most skills people understand are a result of hard work and study and whatever, but for some reason, artistic ability is something that people see more of like as a birthright or an inborn talent than something you can develop. So I wanted to do that because hey, it would impress me. That's how I kind of felt like it was. My whole life, I felt like I was not an artistic person, so there was no point in developing that skill. Also, I just wanted to make beautiful things. I remember growing up, there were those stupid compilation articles about like, this artist reimagines Disney characters in an amazing way, and they would all just be stolen artworks from Sakimi-chan, but I remember scrolling through those and thinking that they were so beautiful and how I would love to make something like that and make other people feel in wonder and nostalgic and all that stuff, but for the things that I truly loved. Also, I wanted to participate in fandoms. As more than just a consumer, I wanted to be able to create things out of my mind. Like, this was a time when Hamilton animatics were all the rage, and I remember watching every single one thinking like, wow, I love the way they interpreted this part of the song. I love the way that this person holds out their hand and the symbolism and the beauty of the art. It was all so wonderful, and I just had this feeling inside of me like, I want to make something like that to make other people feel this way. Like, everyone has their own unique viewpoint that they want to contribute to the world, and I just felt so powerless to be able to express what I wanted to express. Another point that contributed to me wanting to learn art was the fact that I wanted to make video games. I wanted to make a visual novel, and I was looking into doing Renpai, and I wanted to make educational video games. I just played Phoenix Wright and I loved it, and I wanted to do stuff like that. And I realized if I wanted art, I would need to pay artists with money. And as a child with no money, I was like, no money equals no pretty art. I guess I gotta learn how to draw myself. This is around the time that Stardew Valley came out, which was a one-man game. He coded the whole game, he made all the art, all the music, all the dialogue, and I thought that was so amazing, and I wanted to be like him. I also remember seeing people like Bailey J running their art businesses, making prints and stickers and buttons and all these beautiful things. And I thought it was so cool that other people resonated with the art enough to want to own it and hang it on their walls and beautify their spaces. And also just the business and entrepreneurship side of it I thought was amazing. Being able to come up with my own logo and my own designs and make this beautiful packaging and make sure people had a great customer experience, that was a huge part of it as well for me. So I feel like I had, you know, a couple reasons to want to start and learn art. And ever since I've started making my YouTube channel, learning art, and documenting this whole journey, I've picked up even more reasons why I love what I've been doing and why I want to continue. The first one is just the fact that I'm able to help people, which is crazy to me, and impact others through what I'm doing. Whether that's introducing people to resources they never would have heard of otherwise, or people who leave me comments telling me that I'm the reason they're getting back into art, or the reason that they're starting art in the first place. Just being able to go from someone who felt like I really had nothing to offer the world to being able to make that kind of impact on other people has been a crazy journey, and it's just really gratifying. And this is gonna sound so cheesy, but the people I've met here in this art community, on this channel, in the Discord, in the concept art community, have been some of the most caring, open, helpful, and friendly people I've ever met. And I desperately want to keep learning their language, the language of art, able to gain their respect. I want to understand them, and I want to be able to teach the people who come after me. Also, with what little I know now, I can already see the world through a whole whole different lens through proportion and composition and color and shadow color and temperature and atmospheric perspective. I appreciate the world around me in a whole new way, even in just the teensiest bit of knowledge that I have inside my brain. And the thought of being able to one day feel the form like everyone's talking about, or being able to pick out minute changes in local color and whatever the heck, that sounds amazing. I don't want to go back to a world where I don't know these things. And now that I know that there's so much left to explore, I need to find it out so I can see the world in that way. I didn't really feel this until recently when I started Evolve Artist, but being able to improve so quickly and see my skills unfold and accomplish things and see the things that I've been able to make with my own hands, extremely gratifying, extremely satisfying. And also, as is probably obvious through my videos and this video, I tend to overthink a lot, and sometimes, like the moments that I've mentioned before, art is able to distract me from that, and it's able to engross me to a level where I can truly live in the moment. So I find it interesting that all the reasons that I've listed here for me getting into art in the first place and things that I enjoy about art, most of them have nothing to do with actually making the art. It's about what I do with the art after it's made and the people surrounding it and the circumstances surrounding it. And when I think about that, me not necessarily enjoying the process that I've been doing so far doesn't take away from these other points at all. So in the class AB1 with James Pack, the homework for the first week is to write down our 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan. Like, where do we want to be and what do we want to do in the next 1 to 3 to 5 years? And I found it interesting because under each of these years, we have to fill out 3 sections: life, art, and health. And I felt like that was really meaningful because even in this class about making a career out of concept art, art is only one of the 3 things that should be important to us in our plans. But right now, I want to go over some other questions that we had to answer too, which are, what is my biggest fear and why? And what is your passion and why? So what I wrote for my biggest fear is that I don't actually have any creativity inside of me waiting to be unleashed after I gain the necessary skills and knowledge to execute on them in theory. Why? I see everyone who is passionate in their fields and how that manifests, like writers writing fan fictions and programmers making their own games and artists making webcomics and all that. And when I look back at my own artistic output, there's nothing there that I've made for myself. I wonder if my endless pursuit of skills and knowledge is just making up for the fact that I have nothing to say. And for what is your passion, I said, I want to pursue something in my life that makes me want to be the best, to improve, to aim higher. I knew something felt off about my previous position when all I wanted to do was get off the clock every day. Everyone else seemed so excited about learning new statistical modeling techniques and programming languages and passing their exams when I couldn't be bothered. I wanted to pursue something that I felt that amount of passion and excitement for, and art has been the only thing I've cared about in that way so far. I think that having a passion where there is a potential to make money while improving my own mastery and being able to bring beauty to the world is a pretty cool thing, and that I should pursue it until the end of my fascination. I think that if one day I lose the joy in this part of my life, that it's okay to let it go and pursue the next thing that makes my heart sing. Life is long and short. Long enough to master or at least become very good at things, but too short to waste a precious second on things that don't bring joy, if life circumstances allow, of course. Why? I feel like life is too short to be mediocre and bored. I feel like my answers are interesting because, first of all, it highlights something that I felt like has been taboo to talk about, which is the fact that I don't think I want to have one life's purpose or life's passion. That's something that's been holding me back from choosing anything to pursue because I'm afraid I'll get bored, and if I get bored and switch tracks, then I'll be a failure. But lately I've been coming across people who have been challenging that notion. They say that it's okay to have multiple interests in your life, and pivoting off of one thing to pursue something else isn't a failure. And that makes me feel better. Like, really, I feel like success in my life will be having fun doing whatever I'm doing, even if it's not the thing that I started doing when I was 20. And I feel like keeping in mind that what I want to do with my life is never a done deal. I never want to feel secure in the fact that, well, I made one choice and this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life, because then I'll feel comfortable and unwilling to change to something that may make me even more happy Or I could be ignoring the red flags that say that I'm bored just because I feel like there's only one answer for what I want to do with my life. And as for my biggest fear, I think that's part of why I pursue skills. Like I said, I'm afraid that there's nothing inside of me that I want to express. I'm afraid that I don't have that creativity inside me, that there's just nothing inside. And as long as I have homeworks to do and as long as there's improvement to be made, I can still like get the dopamine off of that. And I never have to confront the fact that like if I never try, then there's always the chance that I can succeed, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know for sure that I'm a failure yet. And saying it out loud, I feel like I know that it's not true. Especially when I said this in class, when James was going through my 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan, he said, this should be nobody's fear. Creativity, it's a skill. When you get a job, they will teach you how to execute, how to problem solve with concept art. And this will be a problem for nobody as long as you work hard at it. And that made me feel so much better because this feels kind of hypocritical. But talent is a myth when it comes to learning skills, but I wasn't so sure when it comes to creativity. I was afraid that I just didn't have this thing that you're supposed to be born with. But I guess it's just like everything else. And so when I started thinking about and questioning how much I enjoy the actual act of making art, I got quite self-conscious, right? I'm just like, can I even be an artist if I haven't really truly enjoyed, have amazing joy in making art? And so our last class was a special Q&A class. So my question was, successful concept artists, why do they pursue concept art? Why do they pursue art? Is it because they enjoy art itself, or is it because of the projects that they work on? And he said that was quite an interesting question, and everyone has their own answer to that. Like he said, some people really like working on the projects. Some people really want to work on Star Wars or League of Legends, and that's what drives them to pursue the skills so that they can work on those projects that they want to work on. Some people love the people and the relationships that they build. Other people just want to do it for the money, because you can make a huge amount of money within concept art and art in general, depending on what you're willing to create and make. Other people love the problem-solving aspect of it, or they want to become the next Craig Mullins and do art constantly. And some people don't do art constantly. They just pursue the skills up until the level where it's good enough, and then they stop. And they only practice enough to maintain those skill levels because they're using it as a springboard for their real passion, whether that's making games or starting their own art studio. Or I have a friend who's an author who's looking to learn art so that she can make book covers for her books. And I also think about Kevin, who art is just a job to him. He doesn't do personal art. He doesn't keep a sketchbook. Art is the way that he made money, and it brought him out of his previous financial situation. And thinking about all this, I feel like is really interesting because I do have a huge list of reasons why I want to pursue art aside from the actual making of the art itself. And this brings me to the next section, which is, why have I never thought about this before? Like, why have I never questioned the fact that I don't love the time that I've been spending doing art? And like, part of it I feel like is just the fact that it seems so basic and obvious that I never thought to question it. I figured that everybody else who's studying art must love art in order to be doing it, because really, what other reason is there to do it? Because I feel like back then I had this concept that art really doesn't make money. And so the only reason why people would do it was just because they had so much fun and loved it. I think another reason why is because it kind of makes me feel ashamed and like I don't belong in this community, and I'm like kind of an imposter because I never thought to question it before. It just makes, I feel like everybody else is one way and I'm this other way, and it's weird and uncomfortable, and I don't even know if it's true because I never thought to ask. I never thought to ask how other people felt about this. And in the past, it never seemed to matter whether or not I enjoyed something in my life. When I was choosing a major for college, when I was choosing a profession to pursue, nobody cared whether or not I liked it. In fact, in the actuarial and the math department, it made sense. It was normal for all of us to be complaining about how much we hated the coursework, how much we weren't looking forward to work. But you know, it's a living, it's for money, and so if it's for money, then it's okay to hate what you do. And I guess for art, theoretically, in the purest sense, sense. You're not doing it for money, so you must be doing it because you love it. And if you do it for any other reason, that makes you a fake artist or like a commercial artist who isn't elevated. And you know, now that I'm saying all this out loud, I realize I have a lot of other beliefs that I need to work through and figure out where I got them and whether or not I want to keep them and whether or not they're helping me or harming me. And I think another reason why I never thought to really think about this before is because I haven't worked out within myself why I even want to do art. Like, I have this whole huge long list of reasons why I started learning art, but like, what do I want out of it? Like, why am I taking an art and business course? Do I even want to do this for a living? It's all very confusing and I'm not sure, and the fact that I'm confused and in a state of flux is quite uncomfortable, so it makes it easy to just ignore the problem. But I've been feeling stressed out about it, which is why I have an interview next week for like a consultant position, because I kind of feel like worthless to society if I'm not making money, and I think that's a whole other topic to unpack another day. So in conclusion, these few times that I've had a lot of fun making art have sort of prompted me to think about these beliefs about myself, about the art community, about people who make art for fun, about people who make art for money, and just think about it and think out loud and talk about it with other people. Like I said, I don't really know why, but this whole situation, it feels shameful or embarrassing or just strange to talk about and admit about this. And the fact that I'm afraid to create my own personal art because I'm afraid it won't be good and I'm afraid I'll have nothing to make. And that shit's kind of freaky, so I will definitely be exploring that in another video. I have quite a bit to say about it. And I actually haven't talked to anyone about this. For some reason, it feels really hard to tell anyone, but easier to tell everyone. So I want to hear, why do you make art? Do you love studying it? Do you love making it? Do you find joy in it? Does it make you a fake artist if you just want to do it for reasons other than, I don't know, just the sake of art itself? Well, thanks for hearing me out, and stay safe and healthy out there, everyone, and remember that talent is a myth. Now, get back to work.